I'm actually a GitLab hero.
Cool. Awesome. Nice. Right on.
Yeah, I have been doing contributions since back 2019.
Sweet. Cool. What's your
Thanks, Alejandro, for being a GitLab hero. It's pretty cool.
what's your favorite area to work in on the app?
On GitLab, the platform?
Yeah.
The configure stage.
Nice.
The last contribution that I did was adding a few steps that were missing on how to deploy a Kubernetes cluster with Terraform and GitLab CI/CD. So that's something that I have been working on, and it's like mostly because I also had a lot of experience with Terraform. That has given me the opportunity to be using a GitLab for infrastructure.
Cool. Right on.
So we don't have any people here today. Oh, wait, as I say that, Neil joins. Hey, Neil.
What were you about to say?
Getting started here. A couple different announcements. I will read them since I got the second one, and the first one is from Nate, who's not here. So Nate wanted to mention that Harsimar is now a back-end maintainer. That's great. And also I'll announce on behalf of Thomas is welcome back, Harpreet, on the dynamic analysis team. Neil, since you got the comment on Thomas's news item, do you mind verbalizing?
Yeah, absolutely. So it sounds like some of the team was curious about application security as a domain and how to get some more training. Something that came up was we do have a really neat platform available to us. It's called Secure Code Warrior. It's actually a vendor that we've integrated training with. So if you're in a vulnerability, that's offered as one of those training opportunities for our users, which is really nice. They also have a very extensive platform. You can choose your language. So Thomas was informed that not only do we have access, the group has extended access to all engineers. So there's, I think, 700 people. I might be overestimating, but it was a boatload of people were added and given access. It's group managed. So pretty much everyone in engineering should now be able to log in with SSO into Secure Code Warrior. I additionally shared that with my team. Thank you, Thomas, for raising this. It's great. It's a great platform. We should become more familiar with it. They also host competitions. This is something we did like a year ago. And we had like 25, 30 of us all took place in this competition where there was multiple rounds and you get points and there's a leaderboard. That's something we could also do. So I was seeing if my team might be directly interested in having like a mini competition. There's a GitLab specific training project that you can get into pretty quick, or you can build your own. So you definitely explore this.
Neat. So second, I used to post on LinkedIn directly when one of our teams does something interesting they think general public want to know about. So often, announcements or a YouTube video, etc. So I've stopped doing that directly and would like team members to post themselves, and I'm happy to repost and promote. I can also help with the text and formatting. This increases the reach of the notice of the cool things we do by it not just being Wayne, and also I think LinkedIn maybe has labeled me as a spammer, perhaps. So the more other people post and the less I do, and I just promote those messages, that would be great. And some have already done that. But if you see a reduction in me and me nudging others to post, that's why.
Their anti-abuse features might have shadow banned you, Wayne.
Perhaps. Or perhaps just people are sick of hearing from me on LinkedIn, which is fine too. Maybe it's humans labeling me as spammers, not systems. Yeah, so we'll see. So if anybody's curious why the change, that's why. Anybody want to volunteer Lee's item that I copied across to verbalize it?
Yeah. Let's see. Lee says that we're not triaging all new community merge requests because the number of MR coaches is less than half of the number of untriaged MRs. Please consider making yourself available if you are a coach. And Neil, you have a comment on that?
Yeah, again, I appreciate the reminder. Somebody in their personal goals brought this up. I've had effective coaches on my team in the past. So I've had my current team member, they're going to reach out to Alexander Turinsky. I recommended him as a liaison. He's got a great experience. He was really effective, and I'm sure he still is, and kind of navigating through and pushing forward requests. And it's not like the coaches have to take on this work. It's more about disseminating, getting this information into the right hands and in the right teams as part of that role as well. So what I'll do is I'll ask my team member that's engaging in this to additionally share kind of their experience. And I think that'll help further encourage, because I think once you've done it and you get into it, it's not that big of a deal. It's a great way to contribute to the.
Basically, it's just the triaging, just the making sure that ends up in the right reviewer's hands, or
I think it's both. It's an opportunity to kind of pick off work that you're familiar with and you want to help push forward, but you can also help facilitate finding the right team. Because some of this just goes into like a bucket. CC, MR comes through, it gets flagged as needs attention, and then the coaches can evaluate and say, okay, what team is most familiar with this scope, this context, versus just trying to take this on and make it more muddy. They can get it to the right hands. So it's
Alejandro, you're a hero. Have you experienced some of this burden before of not finding a review from a relevant area quick enough?
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
The question is around community merge requests not being reviewed in a certain amount of time, or really getting them into the right hands to be reviewed. Have you experienced any problem with that?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. No?
How about, Alejandro, just general support? Like, we have SLOs internally, and we try to support those for CC requests as well. That, within 2 days, we're responding, we're kind of keeping things moving. How do you feel the support's generally been?
I don't find that a problem at all. Like, I like the support for GitLab SIS. It's like every time that I use it, it's mostly available. So yeah, I don't have any remarks about having any issue lately with having like a bad request with GitLab or something like that.
Cool, that's good news. I think this came up from Lee because there are metrics that show the turnaround time, the SLO. So, and I think it's similar to our maintainers, is the ratio isn't exactly what we want it to be to provide the best assistance to that group of people. I can't hear you, Wayne. You're not muted though.
Nothing. You can move forward with the agenda if you can't figure it out in the next minute, though.
Or Wayne, type it out and one of us could verbalize.
Nope.
Okay, one more try.
Yes.
There it is.
All right, I'm not sure what's going on with my Zoom today. So thanks. So Alejandro, so you've done some changes to our documentation, which is great. Curious, Jay or Neil or Phil, do you happen to know of any places in our documentation for your areas of the product that you can point Alejandro at, so he can, if he's interested, if Alejandro, if you're interested, you can review and see if you have any ideas on improving it.
You want documentation links for the stages that we're working on, or specific features?
Both, and areas that you think need more improvement versus less, perhaps.
Yeah, we had an issue with a list of documentation that we wanted to update, and Neil's nodding his head. Let's see if we can find that, and we'll point that to you.
This is something Tiago took DRI on, but I can definitely dig that up and provide that. But yeah, there's a whole list of docs that we are going to review in the same manner. If that's what you're looking for, Wing, this is general. Okay. Yeah, this would be more specific to our SEC or threat insight, vulnerability management docs, but we can extend from that.
So I don't know if you're interested in Alejandro, but you've done a great job with updating other parts of the GitLab documentation. So we'd love your feedback on these parts as well, if you're interested.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks. So do we want to do a periodic, maybe every quarter, every 2 quarters, virtual offsite with everyone on the team optionally invited, and because all meetings are optional? The agenda could look something like what I have listed below. I've done a few of these with my boss, Christopher, with my my peers. And also I participated in some of yours or CTOs just on selected topics. I wasn't invited to the whole thing. So overall, they facilitated great information sharing, collaboration, and relationship building. So some potential topics. An update from Phil, Mon, Thomas, and I on our areas of responsibility and context, from what we see interacting with others outside the team. Perhaps each engineering manager does the same, like a quick overview of what their group does and what they're doing and what their challenges are and what they're excited about. And also volunteers from anyone on the team to present a topic of interest. We could have guest speakers from other teams as if they're interested, and also, a fun activity or two. Thoughts? Should we do something like this?
Generally, yeah, I think that'd be great to have that involvement. When would you put that? Would you put that like in the middle of the quarter? That way people are kind of going already and not trying to wrap up or spin up.
It seems reasonable. And also not towards the 22nd, not nearing the end of a release.
Got it. So like after the second version of the quarter ships.
Neil, Phil, what do you think?
Sounds like a great idea. I know some of our product counterparts have virtual offsites this week because they're doing that to plan for the next quarter. Perhaps we would do ours 2 weeks prior to that so that we could feed in and talk about what we've done and what challenges we had. So, towards the end of the quarter could be quite good.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea as well. I think it'd be an extension of this session, more concentrated, more dialogue focused as well. Here we're doing like a lot of agenda topics, getting feedback, but yeah, it'd be neat to have like specific topics to discuss in depth.
Great. Any volunteers to organize? And the answer can be no.
Would we now be looking at doing it towards the end of Q3? Or the middle of Q3?
Middle of Q3, maybe?
Suggestion. Yeah.
Middle of
I'll draft
Q3
an issue.
Not the week before the 22nd.
Okay. I'll draft an issue and we can collaborate async on that.
Thanks, Phil. I know we only have a subset of the team here today, but it'll allow us all to collaborate. Awesome. The other items we have in the agenda are read-only. So we'll leave them there. So I know, Alejandro, you've only been, this is your second meeting as a shadow. I didn't have that many meetings this morning. And we've been collaborating async a bit throughout the day. Any early impressions of being a shadow? And also any questions for Jay or Neil or Phil?
Yeah, the first impression that I had since the first meeting that we had this morning, and the way that GitLab documents its meeting, like for keeping everything that is talked on the meeting can be available for all the persons that were able to join or something, and that helps to build a synchronous communication inside an organization. I felt like it's really amazing the way that GitLab does it.
Great. So I've got your, Alan, by the way, thanks for finding that issue on Terraform. and that our Terraform, we're not making recommendations on Terraform files and code suggestions, as we tried to do that since you know Terraform, and I tried to demonstrate the feature for you and it didn't work. There was a follow-up question, by the way, in that issue of the file types. So it might be what the file type is called, et cetera, and how that gets sent to the back end. So if you could respond to that when you get a chance, that would be great. And again, thank you for filing that issue on that.
Yeah, no worries. That will be my first bug report to get that.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Have a